All right, in October of 2021, Anthony Thomas T.J. Hoover suffered a drug overdose and was transported to Baptist Health Hospital in Richmond, Kentucky. Hoover's family was told by doctors that he lacked brain activity or any reflexes, and the family made the difficult choice to remove him from life support, where he was then pronounced dead. Hoover's sister, Donna Rohr, notified hospital staff that Hoover was a registered organ donor. When performing the honor walk, which I didn't know they did this, but it's called the honor walk. It's a small ceremony where hospital staff and family members surround the donor while they're being wheeled to the operating room to remove the organs. Which I think is really cool that they do that. While they were doing the honor walk, Hoover appeared to open his eyes and track the movements of his family members. So his eyes are following around his family members, but he's not moving. The family was shocked and alarmed, as you can imagine, but hospital staff members told them that this was common and simply a reflex. Rohr stated, "It was like his way of letting us know, hey, I'm still here." But she also said, who are we to question the medical medical system and the staff? They're saying, hey, this is a reflex. What do what would you do in this situation? I mean, my instinct tells me oh my God, he must be alive. But, you've got doctors and surgeons standing there who are clearly more knowledgeable than you are saying, look, I know it's weird, but it's a reflex. Pay no attention to it. What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, so if something happens where, if someone's on this honor walk and they make a movement like that, it could be something just related to how you die and the things that happen at the end. But you also got to realize that if they are an organ donor, isn't there just a limited amount of time that you have to transfer that organ to the recipient? Where they remove the organ, they put it on ice. It's, it's a healthy organ, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think that clock starts ticking when the person is deceased, though, in most cases.
True.
Yeah. It's worth mentioning that Rohr filmed the honor walk and later posted it to TikTok, saying that Hoover's eyes opened and he began to look around. When his eyes opened and began to look around, they were told to stop filming. And in that TikTok video, which we actually have a link, maybe we can put it on there.
We'll post a little portion of that in the episode here on video.
You can hear one of the medical staff saying, it's only reflexes. After an hour in the surgery room, a doctor came out and explained to the family that Hoover wasn't ready, that he had woken up. Rohr was instructed. Now, this is a man who was pronounced dead, brain dead, no reflexes, took him off life support, no brain activity. And so now he's woken up, according to the surgeon who comes out. Rohr was instructed on how to care for her brother at home and told that he wouldn't live long. She would just be making him comfortable until he passed away. That was 3 years ago. Today, Hoover is learning to walk again and struggles with speaking and his memory. But that's not the end of the story. In January of this year, a woman named Natasha Miller, who worked with the Kentucky Organ Donor Affiliates, or CODA, wrote a letter to Donna Rohr. Miller said she was in the operating room when Hoover woke up. She said he was moving around, kind of thrashing around on the bed. And then when we went over there, you could see he had tears coming down. He was crying visibly. She went on to say that this, of course, startled and upset everyone in the operating room, and the head surgeon said, "I'm out. I want nothing to do with this."
Oh my God.
The surgery was stopped because Hoover was showing too many signs of life.
Oh my God.
I mean, that is unbelievable to me. Miller goes on to say that she was instructed by a CODA supervisor to, quote, "find another doctor who will do it," and claimed Hoover was sedated after he began moving around. So you have to think, he was sedated. If you had a doctor who maybe came into the room, those surgeons leave and another surgeon, they go find someone else and comes in, and you now have this man who appears dead and you've been told he's dead. I mean, you realize how close this man was to being cut open and operated on while he's still alive, but he's just under sedation. There are horror movies.
Yeah. 3 years later, here we are, right?
Yeah. There are horror movies where this exact thing happens. You've probably seen where the person, he knows what's going on and can't move or speak.
Well, so have you seen The Serpent and the Rainbow? Where
yes, absolutely.
Bill Pullman's in the grave. He's covered with dirt. They cover the coffin, and the most famous line from the movie is, "Don't bury me. I'm not dead."
Yeah, yeah. Of course, spokespersons for CODA deny this, but several CODA, of course they did. But several CODA employees, including Natasha Miller, quit after the incident. She stated in an interview with NPR, this is everybody's worst nightmare, right? Being alive during surgery and knowing that someone is going to cut you open and take your body parts out, that's horrifying. She also sent that same letter that she sent to Hoover's sister. She sent that to a congressional committee, which actually held a hearing in September scrutinizing organ procurement organizations. Currently, the Federal Health Resources and Services Administration, or HRSA, which helps oversee organ procurement, and the Kentucky State Attorney General's office say they are investigating the allegations. And we got pictures of the guy. He's alive.
Well, and you know what?
And he's not I hate to use the term vegetable, but he's not laying incapacitated in bed. He's learning to walk. He's learning to speak again. And this is a man who was on the operating table with a surgeon holding a scalpel, ready to cut him open and remove his heart or lungs or whatever.
And by the way, when they do that, they're not running an IV. They're not taking your pulse. They're not, like.
You're supposed to be dead.
You're supposed to be dead, yeah. So
and they're not being gentle,
right?
I mean, they're surgeons, of course, but
oh my God,
isn't that just crazy? It's so bizarre, and this is not the only time this has happened. So now I'll ask you again, and so some of those people, quite a few of those people who quit working for CODA. Which, in all fairness, they've denied, saying that this has been reported incorrectly or whatever. But you've got numerous surgeons who are like, I'm not doing this. The guy's moving and crying. And you can imagine, what that's like for them. But, several people said that this has caused mental, issues for them, anxiety, emotional issues. They've had to seek therapy. These
That's a repeating nightmare. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, like, I would be thinking about this every night when I went to bed. And how many movies have we seen, like the Reanimator, or like there's a whole bunch of these where, people come back to life. It feels like a real life horror movie.
And what if knowing that you were a part of something, that you were very nearly a part of killing someone.
Yeah.
In such a way. So.
Well, we've talked about never events, right? Those never events where you take out the wrong kidney or the wrong testicle, as it were, or you've got the surgeon needs to write their initials on the part of the brain, of your head where they're going to operate on and have brain surgery and so on and so forth, or leaving an instrument inside of someone when you're operating. But I don't think I flagged anything that says, well, we were doing it and he woke up. Like, that is not on anyone's list of never events. It's a never event, right?
Right. And I don't think that this is probably the only time this has happened. It just doesn't seem like it was handled too calmly. And I'm not saying with CODA, with the Kentucky, organization, but I have to imagine that something like this has happened before. And it's, and look, and I have heard people tell me before, it's not common, but I have had people, I've had that conversation just about, I'm a donor.
Yeah.
When I die, if it's going to help somebody, if it's going to save a life, take my eyes, whatever it is, awesome. I don't need them anymore. And if it can save a life, I'm all for it. But, someone sort of posed that question or that thought to me before, that if you're in a bad car accident and they know that you're a donor and, there's a situation at the hospital or something, your heart, your vital organs become very valuable. And if it's like, this guy's he's going to really be a struggle for him to make it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not very common.
There's a huge shortage, right? There's a huge shortage of organs matching, donation candidates.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this again. We're very lucky to live in the times that we live in, despite all of this. If we go back 100, 200 years, I think your example of maybe they're not dead, or we did cut them open and we needed this, like they couldn't even do an organ transplant. But can you imagine just what the good surgery was 100 years ago?
Well, you're also talking about a time when, the bell above the freshly dug grave, when someone was buried, there was a bell. You never heard that?
No.
That's real. Look it up. There were periods of time where they'd have a string into the coffin. Yeah. And there was a little bell on top of and they leave it for several days after, because if the bell was ringing, it meant the person was still alive. Look it up.
That'd be a great horror movie.
I'm sure. Didn't they have something like that in The Serpent and the Rainbow, though?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Such a wild movie, though.
Yeah, that's a great one.